With the NBA season in full swing, baseball getting underway, and the NCAA tournament and the Masters right around the corner, the sports calendar is officially heating up. And that means now is the perfect time to take your sports fan couch experience to the next level by getting on the action yourself. The Athletic has partnered with BetMGM, the king of sports books, to bring you the latest odds and exclusive offers to bring you closer to the game than ever. Subscribers of The Athletic get in-depth analysis from our newsroom, plus insight into the latest betting trends and odds from BetMGM's team of experts, getting you the context you need to nail your next pick or parlay. You could have made a pretty penny betting on Bedlam, and you can bet on Team LeBron this Sunday. Right now, BetMGM is offering Down to Dunk listeners a risk-free first bet up to $600. Just sign up at betmgm.com and use the bonus code Down to Dunk to take advantage of this special offer from the king of sportsbooks. This offer is for new customers. That's a risk-free first bet up to $600 at betmgm.com with the bonus code Down to Dunk. Visit betmgm.com for terms and conditions. Cue the disclaimer. Good morning and welcome to episode 973 of Down to Dunk. You can find us on The Athletic and anywhere else you subscribe to your podcasts. Go to theathletic.com/down to dunk and get The Athletic for $3.99 a month. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. And also go to shopgoodokc.com/down to dunk for some merch. Sunday is the last day to pre-order the new shirts. I am Luke, joined this morning by Andrew.
But I gotta say, I'm just fired up to be here today. It's pretty cool, pretty damn cool. Woo!
Slam through.
And Jay.
It's Jay. No Tayshawn today.
Tayshawn.
The grind. He's on the grind, man. He can't break away.
Nose to the grindstone. Just like the Thunder had their nose to the grindstone. Back-to-back games. They got just pummeled in the first game of their back-to-back in Dallas, which I thought, knowing that Luka wasn't going to play, I thought they're for sure going to win this game in Dallas. And they did not. They maybe
didn't even score 85 points.
Yeah, that was maybe one. I mean, that was maybe their second or their worst game of the season. It was very, very bad. And then they bounced back, as they do, against the Spurs. And essentially, Shea was just completely unguardable last night. And he got whatever he wanted. He hit this three that Patty Mills was in his airspace, hand up. I don't even know how he got the shot off, let alone made it. It was just completely sick. Just a sick shot. I just cannot believe it. But he was spectacular last night.
Yeah, it's pretty clear to this point, like Shea's development. I think he's borderline, and I wonder, like, if and I haven't heard anything about this, and so I may be speaking out of ignorance, but if Kawhi isn't well enough to make the All-Star team, like, how long down the list do you have to look before you find Shea at that? Because he's playing at an All-Star level. I think if this Thunder team was in the mix a little bit more, I think that he would have gotten a lot more push to be a part of the team, because he's just playing at a level that is clearly elite, which is complicated for Thunder fans. But I think are moments where you can just kind of sit back and enjoy what you're watching, because that three was, I mean, that's a big time player shot, right? Like, that's the kind of thing you're looking at for these guys that are elite level, all-star, superstar kind of thing. Because it was clutch, it was contested, and it was confident, and it's all the things that you're looking for when you're looking for kind of that guy going forward. So, and it, like I said, it does complicate a little bit about what the Thunder want to do in some sense, but knowing that you at least have one of these kind of level of guys that you can start to build toward, it just makes this season and maybe even next season a little bit more like, okay, well, how do you navigate this to get the second superstar, which is what they need?
Yeah. Yeah, and they keep, I mean, bringing Ty Jerome into the mix has been interesting as well, because they've just started to find and develop lots of different kinds of players that really we haven't had a whole lot of these kind of guys in Oklahoma City in the past, which is just funny that it's just a year that they just find everybody. And maybe that's not fair. Maybe it's not fair that they haven't had these type of guys. They haven't played a style of play that lends itself to help these type of guys be good. If that makes sense.
No, it's been too, I think what you're alluding to is it's been too top heavy, where everybody else basically you have to know your specific role. And a lot of times what that is, stand at the 3-point line or set a screen for me. And which is fine. They had tons of success, and there's a chance that the Thunder might default back that direction a little bit, because superstars do that. You can't look at one team. I think the Warriors are the outliers of that. But they even had moments where that's what they went back to. But having, and that's why they're having success, is the fact that they are just, everybody's moving the ball. Because you even look at most of these, obviously Shea is leading the team in scoring and on a nightly basis, but you look, maybe I was thinking more of the Dallas game, but as I slowly pull up the stats from last night, is if you look at the scoring distribution and the shot distribution,
he took 19 shots. That's not a ton of shots.
Yeah, and you look at, Muscala had 18, which he's been really good.
He's good.
13. Muscala had 18 points.
18 points.
But then you have your starting five, and Roby scored 12, Dort scored 15, Baisley scored 11, Teo scored 7. It just kind of, it's pretty evenly distributed after you look past Shea. I don't know. It has been impressive.
It has to be
right,
equally distributed, because they don't have a second guy on this squad. There's not a second player, so they have to move the ball. They have to find the right shot. With other teams, even with Westbrook and Paul George, it was like, okay, well, there's 65 points to start the game. We don't have that much more to go to get there.
Right.
And with this team, it's okay. We've got 20 to 25 with Shea. Where else are we getting it? And they have to move the ball. They have to win. And they do, to their credit. They do it.
So this wraps up the first half of the season. So as you look back at this team, they're 15-21 to finish this first half, and they still sit in that bottom tier. It changes nightly, and it's just one of those things that it will probably continue to do so. They are, according to this is Basketball Reference, but if you look at their offensive rating, they're 30th. Is that what you see as well? Is that correct?
Yeah, let me see what it is on NBA.com, because they calculate them differently, which is confusing.
It's nice and confusing.
Yeah.
And then as far as defensive rating based on Basketball Reference, they're at a 109.9, which is 7th, which is really the statistic that has leapt for this team over the course of this year, for a net rating of negative 5.5, 26th out of 30. So their expected win-loss to this point is 12-24. And so it's pretty clear they're outplaying expectations, which is surprising. And, for what you want from a team as far as the way they perform, it's something that's been really encouraging about this team. I think that obviously, like I said, there's some long-term question marks, but luckily Houston is a giant garbage pile, and so that's going to help us at least have more odds to get in that top that 5 through 10 range. And the Thunder's pick, that's what we were talking before the podcast. Like the Pelicans, the year that they got Zion, had the 7th best odds to get to the 1 pick, or 7th worst, or whatever you want to call it. The year that the Thunder drafted Kevin Durant, they were up around that that spot too and jumped up to number 2. And so just because they may not finish with the worst record or in the top 3 doesn't guarantee them anything. That's the kind of joy and terror of the lottery. Is it doesn't, you can't, it's not like the NFL where you just lose the most and you get the guaranteed first pick.
Yeah.
But instead what it is everybody has a shot. And so, I mean, you should already have a little bit of a pit in your stomach for nervousness about the lottery. If it's not already there for you, you're not looking at tankathon.com enough.
Right. Get it ready.
That day is going to be just horrible.
It will be horrible.
Just like the anticipation, but like dreading, it's going to be pretty bad.
I'll be doing a lot of pacing that day.
Yeah.
A lot of pacing.
Just constant pacing. According to NBA.com, they do have the worst offense in the league. 104.2. Worse than Cleveland's. And then defense is 10th. And which puts them at 27th in net rating. Negative 5.7. So they're outperforming their net rating, which net rating is usually a really good indicator of who you are, especially after this kind of sample size. I mean, they played 36 games and they're 27th in net rating. They're what's kind of crazy and it's kind of funny is that they're in this spot where you can make whatever argument you want about who this team is, right?
Right.
Like you can argue, oh, this team is pretty good or they're too good. Like, sure, they're 6 games below 500. Cool. That's not newsflash. That's not good. Like, that's not a good team, but they're also not as bad as some of the other teams in the league with regards to record. And so you feel like they're too good and they're just kind of, they're definitely not good. They're in the mediocre. They're in the bottom rung of mediocre, basically. When you're in this like 8-9 range, you're in the bottom rung of mediocre. And that is just a ticket to no man's land, really. So if you like wonder why we would want this team to be worse, is because you either want to be at the top or the bottom. Sticking around in the middle is not ideal.
Yeah, that's what I think about. Is like, would I want to watch this season on repeat for the next 5 years?
Yeah, you want to watch this team again
and
next year,
and then just add guys that don't make a difference and aren't going to affect, these ratings aren't going to affect the win-loss record. Do you want to do that for the next 5 to 10 years?
Yeah.
The answer, I think, if you search your heart of hearts, is a resounding no.
It should be no.
You want them to get better. And just, I think that we need to add great picks from the draft to do that.
Yep.
And so, that's where I am. You just have to look and be realistic. Like, watching this for 5 years would be a bummer.
Yeah, it would.
To be I don't want
the Kings. Ask the Kings how it feels to be a Kings fan.
Or like the Knicks, where like they are acting like they are celebrating like they've won a championship for having a 500 record.
Yeah.
So I don't want that to be us, especially when we've had such success for such a long time. To have that same amount of time to just be, bottom rung of mediocre, is not what we want and cannot be what the Thunder as an organization want.
Right.
Now, to be fair to Knicks fans, is being 1 game over 500 gives you a really good shot to be have home court advantage in the first round of the Eastern Conference playoffs this year.
Right. That gets
so to be fair.
Yeah, that's so sad. If you're in the East, you're in it.
But just to have been down for so long that like any sign of being,
competent,
and you're just like out there in the streets of New York City flipping cars and like just the heaviness.
Right, but I will say this: the thing that's exciting as a Thunder fan is, number one, there's two things working in their benefit heading towards the trade deadline. In the sense of, number one is the play-in game makes it to where there are teams that long for that playoff opportunity.
Yeah.
And so this just gives more chances for those people to kind of go after it. So even if you feel like you're out of it, I mean, and in the East, speaking specifically, like the Orlando Magic are the second worst team in the East right now, and they're 4 games out of the 8 seed, which means they're roughly around that or 5 or so to get into the play-in game.
Yeah.
Was this, for me, that makes it far more, and then in the East as well, as there is such a just pile of people in that kind of mediocre as far as record range. Now in the West, it gets a little more complicated, but even if you go to the Golden State Warriors, who are in the 9 seed there, they're 19 and 18. So it is, I mean, obviously they would be the 5 or the 4 or 5 in the East, but for me is there's enough teams that feel like they can go after at least a playoff run that it's going to, or it seems like it's going to increase the amount of buyers on the market heading towards the trade deadline. You think that's fair, or is there kind of an uncertainty about that?
I think there is an uncertainty about it. I think that there's just going to have to be teams that, one, really care about this season. And there will be teams that care about this season. But I just wonder who that's going to be. I just wonder who is looking at this season and thinking this means a lot to us, because we just have to remember that this is such a weird year with regards to everything, and everything the league is going through and everything these teams are going through is so different and so strange, even though they're trying to pretend that it's not. I just don't have a good feel for it. I would guess that George Hill gets traded. I think there would be a market for Mike Muscala, because he's been such a good shooter, and people need big guys that can shoot off the bench. He would be great. I don't think it's impossible that Horford gets dealt. I really don't. I'd be a little surprised. There's just a limited number of teams that could do it. The New York Knicks are one of them. I mean, the New York Knicks have been kicking the tires on a lot of big guys. And so I wonder if Horford would be one that they would, because he would make them even more solid. So I don't know.
Muscala is we mentioned this, but Muscala is an expiring contract. George Hill's an expiring contract. Trevor Ariza is an expiring contract.
Hill's got another year next year.
Who does?
Hill.
Oh, I was looking at salaries. I thought this morning I didn't see that. So that is my error.
I do think that they will make trades.
Yeah,
and
he's got another. My bad.
The Thunder are one of the only teams that are for sure wanting to sell off parts. And if teams want to get better, the Thunder have guys that can help them get better. And there's a price tag on everybody. They're not. I mean, Hamidou Diallo is an expiring contract.
Yeah.
And what do they want to do with him? Like, what does his deal look like for next year? And do they want to pay him? I mean, traditionally, Sam has either already paid somebody or he trades them. So I just wonder about Tommy. And maybe this is unconventional and they do go to free agency and negotiate with him and bring him back. But I mean, there would be very few things that would surprise me at the deadline. Shea and Dort and Maladon and Baisley to an extent. I mean, like those would be surprised, and Poku, of course. Those are the guys I would be surprised about, but anybody else, I think they have a price tag. It's on the table. If somebody calls, I think the Thunder pick up, and I think that they make deals.
I trust them to make deals, and I trust them to make good deals.
I
don't think they're going to make a bad deal. Then just make a deal. Like if it's going to be something, it's going to be something that benefits us.
Oh yeah.
And so but I want them to. It would be great.
Yes,
Yes.
I do too.
So I'm sorry, there is a Twitter question about this, but is there a place where the Thunder, I don't know Sam, his mindset as far as this, but is there a place where he does get a little more lenient on what he asks for in return for somebody to get off of this roster? Like, not in the sense that like, hey, we're going to pay somebody to take Al Horford, but if somebody goes back to Al and they make it a pretty neutral move, or or they throw in a second that's probably going to be a late second or whatever, does that make you? Do you think Sam would pull the trigger on something like that, or is he going to wait and like with Al, this is not that big of a deal for him to get it right now or whatever?
I don't. I mean, I don't have a good feel for that, to be honest. If it were me, yeah. I think the benefit of giving yourself better odds this year is better than a lot of assets you could get back. At least just becoming a bottom 5 team and having the chance to have 2 picks in the top 5, that could be franchise changing. I mean, it honestly could. There's enough of those guys in that top 5 that are good that you could talk yourself into Shea paired with any combination of those guys would be such a huge upgrade for your roster that I don't know that the 21st pick or whatever you're going to get for Al Horford is even worth it, to wait on.
Yeah, so we're less than 3 weeks out from the trade deadline. The Thunder will come back out of the All-Star break, and they'll have 2, 4, 6, 8 games before the trade deadline. So they'll play the Hawks, the Rockets. Depending on your goal, they have the Timberwolves, they've got the Hawks, they've got the Rockets, they've got the Bulls. They play the Grizzlies a couple times, the Mavericks and the Knicks. I think it's crazy. What'd you say?
It's a cakewalk to the trade deadline. It really is.
Yeah, and I think the Grizzlies win both of those. Like, if I was just guessing, although I've already tried to do this and failed miserably and now owe Taylor some sort of ridiculous bet. But the Knicks, obviously, the Hawks, who knows what you're going to get with them. I don't know how close Bogdanovich is to being back. Obviously the Wolves.
Yeah.
The Wolves, the Rockets, like Christian Wood changes. I don't know. I have no idea. Yeah. But what I do know is looking at this team, if you traded Mike Muscala, you immediately improve your odds, which is insane to think about.
It's a very funny. Yeah.
But if you substitute Mike Muscala's minutes for either more Roby, which is fine. Like, Roby's been fun. Like, I don't want to get back into our argument. But really what changes the game is if you switch Muscala's minutes for Moses Brown minutes whenever he comes back from the G League, which is like a week and a half away or something like that.
Yeah.
You're going to get more Poku minutes, which is, who knows what that's going to ultimately mean as far as what this team looks like. But if you're trading George Hill, it will be fun. George Hill hasn't played obviously in 3 or 4 weeks, but you start shortening up your bench a little bit. It's going to limit the amount of guys that get minutes. Like, Muscala has been enormous for this team.
He was really, really good last night, and he's been too good. Honestly, he's been way too good. He's taken enough from this franchise already, taken away that. So I guess it was the Thunder's own pick, but he has taken too much away from us, and it's funny because he knows it. He was upset when he heard that his shot in the bubble went down. When somebody told him that it cost the Thunder their pick, he was like, "Oh no!" He's like, "I wish someone would have told me."
Which that pick probably would have just been. I mean, they just probably package it together to get Poku still or something, or they could use the Lakers pick for something different.
They end up with somebody additionally.
Yeah.
Because they had, whether they keep the 25th pick or the 21st pick, maybe they get Emmanuel quickly.
Or Tyrese Maxey.
I can't even think about that. I'm a big Tyrese.
Don't think about it until you see Poku back after he got his legs underneath him in the G League.
Both. We could have both.
True. True. Any other thoughts on this first half of the season for you guys, L-Man?
I have thoughts about the no, not about the first half of the season. I have thoughts about the All-Star game though.
All right, man. Let's hear it.
You can deep dive me.
Let's do it. Let's go deep.
The thing I love about the All-Star weekend is that the way that now the teams are selected is we're taking the best of the players in the league, and we are bullying the worst of them. I have a way that they pick them like, dodgeball at recess.
Yeah,
and so at the end, it's two guys, and it's like, oh no, we got to pick one of these two.
Yeah.
And these are the best players in the world. Like these are the all-stars.
Yeah.
I think that's so funny. But then also LeBron said something that was just and he prefaced it with saying, I'm not trying to slander these people. He said, there's no slander to the Utah Jazz. You guys got to understand, just like with video games growing up, we never played with Utah Jazz. Even as great as Karl Malone and John Stockton was, we never picked those guys. I think that's just a rude statement, one. But I also don't think that's right. Remember when, like, the NBA Jam, when you only had two players?
Yeah.
Malone and Stockton was like, I picked them. Did you ever?
I mean, they were not at the top of my list. Or
Never.
anywhere to
I
it.
thought they were really good.
I mean, they're good players. They're just not cool players.
I thought they were cool players at the time, and so I picked this. And so he is, I think, but I just think that's so funny. One, just to preface the thing. Listen, I'm not trying to slander them, but they suck, and I hate them, and no children pick them to play video games.
You think Karl Malone's cool now?
Do I think what?
Do you think Karl Malone is cool now?
No, I do not.
Okay,
and
good.
Anyone
Okay,
that
good.
does, I would recommend just take a quick peek on his Wikipedia.
Yeah.
5-minute read, and you'll change your mind.
Yeah. All right. Good
I
call.
think I think this version of the Jazz would be more pickable in an NBA Jam like game, in the sense of like Donovan Mitchell is that kind of
They were the last.
exciting.
Yeah.
I think that's what started this conversation. I don't know.
Yeah, they were.
They were the last selected.
I thought it was Vucevic. And Gobert.
I don't believe that's correct, but
Anyway, it doesn't really matter. But for me, I'm like,
Really
but if
no.
you're playing,
We're last.
If
the
you're-
last picked.
if you're playing NBA Jam, like Donovan Mitchell is a pretty fun player to have with NBA Jam. Like John Stockton, as great of a point guard as he is, nobody gets jacked to play with John Stockton. It's like, cool, I'll shoot threes and steal the ball.
Yep.
Gosh, somebody just said in the chat, W Kim 14, Larry Johnson and Alonzo Mourning combo was my favorite to play with. That was a good combo.
Yeah. There's so many good combos.
But I just think it's great. I think it's great that these guys make the All-Star team huge, it's huge and like a big important thing for their career, and they get picked last, and it's like, well, you guys stink. You guys are the worst of the best. I really like that. But we can take a break.
And we're going to talk about everything you want to talk about, all your questions, right after this break.
Did I do this?
Yeah.
Is your Wi-Fi struggling to keep up with your streaming, work, gaming, video calling, and more? What about all-in-ones? When you're connected to your world by Wi-Fi, be sure it's the best. Bring your Wi-Fi up to speed with Orbi Wi-Fi 6 from Netgear. Orbi Wi-Fi 6 is the best and latest in Wi-Fi. It covers your entire home with unmatched speeds and performance, with uninterrupted working and learning, video calling, and streaming at home on more devices than ever before, in any part of the house. With Wi-Fi this advanced, you're going to want it everywhere. Ready for the best Wi-Fi ever? Find out what makes Netgear America's #1 choice for Wi-Fi at netgear.com/best Wi-Fi. That's netgear.com/best Wi-Fi.
And we're back from that quick break.
Twitter questions.
Our first Twitter question comes from @Alex Pupachi1. who wants to know, would you rather be a Kings fan or a Rockets fan?
Oh Lord.
This
No.
Kings fan.
It's a vomiting emoji.
Yeah, definitely not Rockets, because the Rockets, they don't have a chance at, or I guess they do have a chance at these top 4 guys, but they could easily fall out. That would be just misery. And the Kings they have Tyrese Halliburton, they have De'Aaron Fox, they've got some guys. I think they have more competent management there. They just need to fire Luke Walton and get a good coach in there. And once they do that, I think that they might be okay. So I would rather be a Kings fan than a Rockets fan, just because I don't trust their ownership at all. And I don't really trust the Kings ownership either. But
Yeah, but say it's like splitting hairs. Like, it's slightly better.
Right. I just have historically liked the Kings better than the Rockets.
Well, and I think anybody that was a basketball fan in the late 90s and early 2000s, like, just had, like, even as a Laker fan, like you and I both were in those seasons, like, you at least had this incredible respect for those Kings teams with Chris Webber and Vlade. And I hated them when they were playing, but there was an era where the Kings were like the Warriors, kind of, as far as the feel of the crowd and the excitement. It was like just kind of they're kind of like the Thunder. Peja Stojakovic and Turkoglu and Doug Christie and Bobby Jackson. I go through the whole roster. It was a lot of fun watching that team play.
Okay.
And so now the Rockets obviously you could say the same thing. The Rockets have an incredible history, but Tillman is just what sours it completely for me looking at that team this year or going forward.
Without a doubt. Yeah. The Sacramento Queens.
Right. Yes.
So Shaq called them.
Hey, Shaq wrestled this week.
He did.
What?
He wrestled on AEW Dynamite. And guess what? He was pretty good.
I think he died.
He did not. Actually, he got packed into an ambulance. He had to be ambulanced out. They got him on the stretcher and ambulanced him out because he went through 2 tables.
I missed this, but could he actually fit in an ambulance?
He did, but then there was at the end, like, they went back to look to see if they could talk to him because he had come to in the ambulance, but they opened the ambulance door and he had disappeared. So I think there's more Shaq stuff to come. I don't really know what's happening.
He ascended directly to heaven.
It's possible, but it was good. He was really good, I thought.
That's great. Hey, let's go to the stream real quick before we go. Shout out to David, to Paul Gray, to Josh Morrison, Hoops Talk 69, Tyler Field. Thanks for joining. White Black, thanks for joining. Let us know where you're at. Send us your location if you're in the chat right now. Hope everybody's doing well. We have Mike McG from Melbourne. Thanks so much for listening. We appreciate it.
Gonna give him a good day, mate.
Sam the Man, 076 from New Zealand.
It's 2:15 a.m. Oh my!
Get some sleep.
Brian Wilson from Wisconsin.
From Wisconsin. Wow. Hope everybody has just a great weekend. All right.
Yeah, thanks for joining us over there.
Yeah.
All right. Our next Twitter question comes from @Zach Deeg, who wants to know, your spouse wants to take you to lunch, their treat. You can go wherever you want. Where are you going to eat?
So there's a lot of layers to this question. This number one, my wife and I share a bank account, and her treat is my treat, and my treat is her treat.
It's her treat this time, though.
Yeah. Let her
Yeah.
pay. Let her hand the card over.
Part of this is the thought that counts. And guess what? Do not bring that argument to her when she's saying, I want to take you somewhere, my treat. Because guess what? You're going to ruin a great lunch.
That's true. You've just ruined your lunch, Jay.
It's valid. All right, so lunches in Oklahoma City. Andrew, where are you going?
Oh, is Mahogany open for lunch? Because that's where I would like to. I don't know either.
Mahogany is, if you're unfamiliar with Oklahoma City, Mahogany is one of the best steakhouses in the city. The Ranch is another one.
Yeah, the Ranch is very good. I don't know if those places are open for lunch. If they're not,
They open at 5. Mahogany opens at 5.
see, I didn't think they were. So in that case, I think a good one is always like Charleston's is always a good one. That's always
a great
good
one.
Lunch spot. You can't choose anything wrong there.
I mean, you're right.
What? What is that? What is that?
Here's the thing.
What?
This is for you. You can take your spouse to Charleston's, and she's going to be like, great. This is your chance to go somewhere that she's like, oh no, I don't want to go there. I'm like, no, that's terrible.
But what would that be though?
This is her treat.
Well, I don't even know what that would be. Something that she would not like that I would like.
I don't know. You don't. You don't know better than I did. So,
what spot? Where would you go, L-Man?
I would probably do. Let me see. Where would I go? Because I'm thinking, do I want to? Oh, I know. Long John Silver's. That's a place that people traditionally like are going to be like, no way.
That's where you want to go. Yeah,
I love. I
know you do.
Long John Silver's.
I'm well aware.
I love it, and if it's her treat and I'm being treated, I'm wearing the hat.
Where's one that's open?
There's a Long John Silver's A&W on Penn.
Oh yeah,
122nd.
Yeah, 122nd Penn. And then,
how do they stay open? That's just my question. Like, how do those places stay open?
You got to figure the A&W half is doing a little.
Are they though? Are they though? Does anyone say
no.
like, "Hey man, it's dinner time. I need some A&W food."
I have no idea how it works, but I'm just.
Here's what I'll say about that restaurant is they have to be owned by some sort of large conglomerate of restaurants.
Yeah.
So all of these other ones just keep them afloat. It's like they're owned by like KFC, and KFC does so well that they can just hemorrhage money with Long John Silver A&W.
Yeah,
because both of those places are gross. I'm just gonna say it. Like, I know L-Man
ever said lunch was crazy. We were slammed.
No.
Okay. There we go.
But that's where I'm going. Just because it's that's my chance. Because if I'm eating Long John Silver's, I'm either I don't really. I'm going with my dad. That's the only person that will say yes. Let's go there.
Oh, if it's a nice day out, if it's like 70 degrees, I'd probably go to a place like Mama Roja, sit out on the patio.
Yeah,
man.
The problem is, I think we're like right at the beginning of March, and so we're ready for warm weather.
Yeah,
but like if you're sitting down on a patio today, it'd be miserable,
a little chilly.
So, but
I went out on the patio last night actually, and it was nice until the wind was just. I mean, Oklahoma, March. It's like the wind was just blowing so much, and it got really
nice.
chilly.
Not nice.
Not nice.
It doesn't sound like that was nice.
But
Jay, where'd you go? You didn't answer.
Man, there's a lot of options. If I wanted lunch, I'll tell you what I like. And we've said all of these are like Hal Smith restaurants. I love the Garage. Their burgers are incredible. Anywhere like Torchy's, which is now a franchise, it's a large ownership group now, which is not quite as cool, but I love Torchy's chips and queso. Obviously anywhere in the Plaza, Empire Slice, The Mule, The Press, those are all fantastic restaurants. And then Barrios, Revolucion. I love food, and I love local food, and so all those places would be a good start.
That's the difference. Is lunch,
Yeah.
I think I have my answer is correct.
Yeah.
There's less pressure. There's less pressure on lunch than dinner.
Yeah, that's true.
Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A is a fantastic lunch spot.
Chick-fil-A, I have every Friday lunch I go to Chick-fil-A, and Andrew has me downloaded the app.
Yeah, because you've been just wasting money. Like, get points, get free food.
I know that he's doing me a favor. I know I'm gonna like it, but I don't have. But
Cafe
I don't.
7, yeah.
Okay.
You're gonna love it. Once a Chick-fil-A restaurant sends you a free gift, you're gonna love me for it.
I know.
And sometimes just for free for nothing. Chicken sandwich. Here, it's for you. Just to enjoy. We love you.
I know. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Even though I'm not being very thankful. Hey, let's move on to our next Twitter question. It comes from at T_Y_Gatewood. Oh, Tiger Gatewood. I get it. He wants to know, using a scale based on Frontier City / Whitewater Bay rides, compare the following Thunder teams' fun levels. We want to go one at a time? First is the Russ MVP squad.
Now, since we have a bunch of international and non-Oklahoma listeners,
Yeah.
Whitewater Bay and Frontier City Frontier City's an amusement park, roller coasters. They're both owned by Six Flags now, if that's a familiar name. But Frontier City is a roller coaster amusement park. Whitewater Bay is obviously like a outdoor water park, with slides and all those different things. And so now it's called Hurricane Harbor, apparently, which is, I'm not sure I'm okay with that yet, but that's all right. So I think it's important for us to rank like what are the best and worst rides there. So maybe like the top 2 or 3 rides at each one of those places, and then the bottom 2.
The Acapulco Cliff Dive.
Is that number 1?
It's a good one.
It is scary.
It is scary, but it's fun. And after you go down the slide, this is why the rest season is the Acapulco Cliff Dive, because we were looking over the edge of the season thinking, I don't know if I want to do this. The Kevin Durant stuff sucked. Like, I don't know if I want to continue. But we did continue. We went down the cliff dive.
And it was a rush.
It was a rush. We got up and we felt like just a man.
And we had a wedgie.
The wedgie was losing to the Rockets in round 1.
It ends with a big old wedgie.
But we mostly felt good.
But it was fun.
Mostly felt good. Yes.
It's fun, but it's so scary. There was a time where I really liked those type of slides.
Yeah.
As a child.
Yeah.
So because literally it feels like you could die.
Yes.
There's a time when you go down because they're so steep, when your body lifts off that and you're not touching anything.
And it's as close to the highway as it could possibly be. And so you just have these cars zooming by you. And I don't know how high you are in the air, but it makes the experience so much more horrifying.
I agree. I 100% agree with that. Jay, do you have thoughts on the Acapulco Cliff Dive?
I enjoyed it. I'm with you on all of those things. It's a fun one. And that's right next to that the one that it's attached to is the Bermuda Triangle. Is that what it was called?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which is just basically like 5 different huge tube slides, which is also enjoyable. It's probably a top 2 or 3 ride too.
There's always one that's closed.
True.
I would imagine it's the funnest one.
It's just like a huge gap in the slide where somebody goes flying off onto the highway.
It's where they had a situation where the Homer Simpson type situation where a guy got had to crane it. They never put it back in. All right, our number 2 with our Frontier City Whitewater Bay ride scale is the 2017 Western Conference Final team.
2016.
Well, it says 17, but I think you mean 16.
Yeah.
So the team itself during the year was not my favorite team to watch as far as just the stress of underperforming.
Yeah.
But that run in the playoffs, I mean, I don't know. What's the most enjoyable ride at the park?
Silver Bullet. Yeah.
Silver Bullet. I've never ridden the Silver Bullet.
You have not ridden the Silver Bullet.
I don't like roller coasters that go upside down. They scare me. I'm not very fun.
Yeah. The Silver Bullet is definitely, growing up, the most fun roller coaster there.
Oh, without question.
Yeah. Also closest to the highway.
Also closest to the highway.
Yeah. What's up with that? 2 different highways.
My favorite thing is like we're just avoiding the fact, like if you did somehow make it onto the highway, the least of your worries is being hit by a car because you just went flying off of a roller coaster like 200 yards to the highway. So, you're not gonna make it.
The 2016 Thunder team would be like the Silver Bullet if at the very end it just flew off and then you got hit by a car.
Yeah, that's pretty fair. That's exactly how it felt, actually.
All right, our next team for our Frontier City Whitewater Bay ride scale, the Paul George Russ Mellow season.
So there's a ride at Frontier City that's it basically is like swings, but you can adjust this like I don't know what it is in the middle. It's almost like wing, but it's kind of through the middle, and you can adjust it, and it spins your cart like right and left, and it just keeps swinging. My son and I have ridden it twice together, and both times, the second time we forgot how bad it made us feel after the first time, but both times we had to go and like just sit for like 30 minutes because we both thought we were going to vomit after we were done with it. That's how that, where you thought it would be fun.
That looks like fun.
And then you actually experience, you're like, I think I'm going to throw up.
Those spinning
That's
rides,
how that jazz series felt.
Oh yeah.
those spinny rides, my dad used to call them Lukey Go Pukies. I loved them. There was one summer I was all about Lukey Go Pukies.
Yeah. I was gonna say either that or the river rapids at Whitewater Bay when you just inevitably would scrape your back on one of the rocks.
Right. In my mind, it was really relaxing.
Yeah,
but I don't think it was.
No, there's nothing. It's not. Yeah, it's in whatever ride is in theory fun, but actually not fun. Is that is that team?
All right, our next and last is our current team.
So what
That's
ride?
a hard one.
What ride do we think is good? I don't even know how to even phrase this because I think there's one of two ways you could go with this. We talked about this earlier. You can frame this team however you want.
Right. Because I was thinking like a Ferris wheel. The Ferris wheel.
Yeah. The Ferris wheel.
It's like, it's not really good. It's not really bad, but you don't really want to be on it kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about it.
It's
like like, I don't know. The Ferris wheel is just kind of there.
Yeah. But it's shiny.
It is shiny.
Huh. I don't know. This is a good one because it's pretty hard to try to think of. I don't know. This is too hard. This is too hard for me.
Yeah, and also we need a little bit more hindsight.
We're
in the middle of it.
I have it. This is the bar at Whitewater Bay.
I've never been.
There's a bar. They serve alcohol.
Oh, I know. I can picture it now.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so fun, but you shouldn't stay too long.
Yeah.
Okay. That's good.
Or this is just the area where it's just urine, just cycling through through everything is what it is.
Who's Talk 69 just said in the chat, looks like Andrew's getting ready for the afternoon shift at McDonald's as the Hamburglar.
Thank you. Hey, if you're listening to the podcast, check out the great opportunity to check out our YouTube channel so you can see me dressed as the Hamburglar.
It's a good looking shirt.
I like this shirt, you jerk.
You're looking fit too, man.
All right. Our next Twitter question comes from @LoganGoodner7, who wants to know who is the best looking Thunder this season.
Who's looky digging?
Whose look are we digging?
Let me see.
I mean, Shay's got that part of his DNA.
Yes. Is Shay. Yes. Who's the candidates?
So it's got to be him. That may be it.
And no, Al Horford.
Al Horford, yeah, I like that. Roby, I just can't. Like, Roby looks 14, number one. And I think we keep saying is he looks like a character you created on NBA 2K.
Yeah, created player. Yeah, no question.
Al Horford.
Baisley can't figure his haircut out, so that one's hard.
Yeah, what's up with that. That's just not okay.
I don't know. Kendrick Williams, his hair, it's grown on me because when I first saw him play in the preseason, I literally said, I don't know who this guy is with the weird kind of mullety kind of thing, but I don't really want to see him play anymore. And boy, was I wrong.
Yeah, you were so wrong. We're all wrong about Kenrich. But yeah, those are probably the candidates, and it's probably just Shea.
Yeah, he
dresses
very, very well. All right, let's move on to our next Twitter question. It's comes from at Creamer Nathan, who says Miami fans are looking for a Jay Crowder-esque player to replicate their 2020 playoff run. Would OKC benefit from a Muscala trade, and what would the trade look like?
I mean, they have Kelly Olynyk already, who is Mike Muscala. If Mike Muscala was super good, right? I don't know. I mean, he's definitely not a Jay Crowder-like player. I mean, Ariza, although we haven't seen Ariza play basketball, is closer to that, like that possibility. But I don't know. I don't know what Miami wants to do. It wouldn't surprise me if Miami was just like, yes, we're not doing anything. We're going to punt because we don't believe in what this team can do this season, and then just see what we can do in the offseason. I think there will be a lot of teams that do that. I think the Celtics are a team that's doing that right now. And I would actually honestly be surprised if the Celtics did a whole lot in the season, unless somebody surprising came on the market. Like they're right now, Shaf Sharania reported that they're interested in Jeremy Grant. Like, okay, I'm interested in Anthony Davis being on the Thunder. You know, I think that they both have equal chances of happening. Like, why would Jeremy Grant? And Jeremy Grant said one of the reasons he chose the Pistons is because, one, he has a relationship with Troy Weaver, and he wanted to play for a black coach in a black city. I think that's great. I really actually appreciated him sharing that with James Edwards at The Athletic. That's great. Then he's going to be traded to Boston,
which is almost the exact opposite.
It is literally the exact opposite in every way. And not that it would be a good situation for him. I think it would be a great situation for him basketball-wise, but he also would have to take a step back and be in a similar role that he was in Denver, that he decided to leave. So I don't think that's happening. So, but for Boston to make a deal, I think it would have to be surprising. So I don't know. I don't know what deals get done. I don't know what teams will be active. But I don't know. I think it's just such a weird year with everything that I just don't really have a good feel for where Mike could go. Maybe the Bucks. I think the Bucks actually make some sense for him.
Yeah, he'd be great on the Bucks. If the Bucks added Muscala and PJ Tucker, like, I still don't know if I'd take him over the Nets, but that's two really nice role pieces.
They're way more
players
with those two. Yeah.
Guys, I'm about to have to leave. But before I leave, I want the last Twitter question because I haven't thought about it. It comes from at Grayson Wilbanks, who says, is it just me, or is All-Star Weekend not sounding and all entertaining this year? And really, I'm not a huge All-Star fan guy.
Yeah.
However, the dunk contest, if they're not pumping in music or crowd noises for that,
oh, they will be.
It's gonna be horrible. It's gonna be so bad because it's just gonna be a dunk, and well, first 5 minutes of silence, and then while they're like getting their dunk ready or whatever, and then a dunk, no reaction.
Yeah, I mean, they're pumping crowd noise at the Thunder game. They have to pump in crowd noise for that.
They need to.
Oh man,
it'll be interesting. It's a 3-point contest with no crowd because it'll be like they're in practice. I think we're gonna see a really good 3-point contest.
Hopefully, they don't pump in crowd noise for that. Yeah.
But there'll be a lot of the players in the arena for that one. That'll be kind of fun. That's the one. L-Man, do you know who's in the dunk contest this year?
No, not off the top of my head.
Give me 3 guesses, please.
I have no idea. I couldn't even begin to tell you.
Okay, well, let me do this a different way. So let me ask you, I'm going to name the 3 guys that are in the dunk contest, and I want you to tell me whose team they play for.
Oh, who he played for. Down to dunk edition. Who he played for.
Who he played for. Obi Toppin.
Obi Toppin plays for the Knicks.
Very good.
Ding, ding, ding. Anthony Simon.
Anthony Simons. I don't know who Anthony Simon plays for, but I'm going to guess the Lakers.
Wrong.
Or the Suns.
No.
Last one. So there's 3 people in the contest.
Okay.
Last one is Cassius Winston.
Cassius Winston. That's a trick question. You made that guy up.
That is what it feels like, and I had no idea who. I had no idea who he played for. He plays for the Pacers. I found out because of Wednesday's podcast.
Well, I'm out of here.
It's the most underwhelming dunk contest ever.
We'll just wait for it to underwhelm when they're dunk to just no crowd reaction. And then
True. Bye, Luke. Hey, you know what? This is a good place to just end the pod all together. Thanks so much for joining us. Hope you guys have a great weekend. Be sure to listen to Alex and I on the Saturday Slam and Jam. We have episode 2 coming out tomorrow. So listen to that. Listen to all the other athletic pods. Nerder She Wrote drops today with Dave Dufour. Great pod. Hope you guys have a great, great weekend. And we'll talk to you guys again on Monday.
I may appear to be free, but I'm just a prisoner.